Afternoon everyone and welcome to my lab. Today we are playing around making a rather interesting scented bathroom spray using two different kinds of essential oils as well as a soluble. Essential oils are obviously an oil, and because the base of a solubilizer is actually water, oil and water don't mix and therefore you need a solubilizer. The solubilizer we are using today is called Symbiosil Tier Plus. It's found relatively easily. So the thing about solubilizer and essential oils is because each essential oil has a unique profile, they can actually even vary between batches, never mind different oils altogether, batches of the same oil. Choosing the right amount of solubilizer to use is actually a bit of an experiment. So usually one would use a ratio of 1 to 3 up to 1 to 5 of essential oil to solubilizer. So your 1 part is your essential oil and your 3 to 5 is your solubilizer. Really, that could be anything. I've had to use way more than that to solubilize particular essential oils, because some are very much more tricky than others to dissolve into water. So today our two essential oils are rosemary and vanilla. I really like this combination. Both of them can be fairly tricky to solubilize, and because of their combination, well, let's just see how much solubilizer we actually need to use. I have a previous experiment here. It was 1 to 4 and you can see, okay, I was whisking it up, so there's quite a bit of foam, but that will all go away. But as you can see, it isn't quite a clear solution yet, and that's what we're looking for. A clear solution means your oils have successfully been solubilized into the water. So while this might appear solubilized, like you're not going to see oil droplets floating, it's actually not fully because the solution isn't very clear. So we're going to try again with a different ratio and hopefully this will work. Okay, so our utensils are a scale, a beaker, and then I have a couple of these little mixing things, a chattery spatula, just a little mini width, and a silicone spatula. This is going to be our little spray bottle that we put it in after. You want to measure out your essential oils. A bit of a slow dropper on this vanilla, so it's taking quite a while. Okay, pretty much. It's not just quickly mix those two together, and now we're going to add our soluble. So I'm going to try a ratio of 1 to 5, so I'll have approximately 1 gram of essential oils in there. I'm going to add 5 grams of the solubilizer. Usually one would pre-weigh this so that you have very accurate measurement. Please do that and don't do what I'm doing. Okay, so now we're going to just gently mix the solubilizer and the essential oils together. It's going to create a bit of a thicker viscous substance. A solubilizer is actually a type of surfactant, as in the surfactants that you find in body washes and shampoos and cleansers of all kinds. And emulsifiers are actually also a form of a surfactant. So the surfactant family is obviously your pure surfactants and then also your solubilizer and emulsifier. So it is quite normal for soluble solutions to actually foam a little bit if you shake them up. So don't be shocked about that if that happens. You want to get it really nicely mixed. Okay, now we're going to add our water. This is pre-boiled and cooled water. I always boil my water first just to remove any impurities. You could also use deionized water or distilled water, it's up to you, but please don't use tap water. Okay, so we're just going to pour this in. Now you want to sort of gently mix it so it doesn't get too foamy. Although that's probably inevitable because, like I said before, it is a surfactant, so it is going to form. But the bubbles will go away, so don't worry about it. Look, I can see these essential oils are being quite difficult to solubilize. Sometimes they'll mix in quite easily with water. It just depends on the particular essential oil. I've solubilized orange and chamomile. Chamomile was actually very tricky. It took me about 10 experiments to find the correct ratio. Some are easy, some are hard. It just depends on the essential oil profile. You can use a little whisk to just try and solubilize the oil. You might also just take a bit of patience to really mix everything together well. But so far our solution is looking a lot more clear, so that is a good sign. There's a couple of little oil droplets that just need to dissolve. You could probably also leave this just to stand for a few hours and it will probably dissolve by itself. But I am way too impatient for that, so I will keep mixing until it will dissolve. You could also get in there with an immersion blender or a soup blender. Just be careful not to work too much air into the mixture or you'll end up with a lot of foam. It smells so good though. I do love the combination of rosemary and mint. If you haven't ever tried it, do yourself a favor. You get that sort of fresh mentally hits of rosemary and also the sweetness of the vanilla. It combines so well. That is mostly solubilized. As you can see, the clarity is very good. You can almost see right through the beaker to the other side. So I am pretty happy with that. And that is before we've added our preservative. This is a water-based product, so you do need a preservative to prevent the microbial growth. The preservative I'm going to use today is Pureguard Ultra. Big bucket of it here. I don't actually use it very often, especially in leave-on products, because some people can be allergic to it. Not everyone. It's like, you know, some people will have a peanut allergy, others won't. It's not a big deal. You just need to figure out if you do have an allergy to it. I actually do when it comes to leave-on products. So I will use this particular preservative in leave-on products such as moisturizers, creams and stuff like that. But since this is gonna be a toilet spray, it's like really not a problem. It's gonna go into the air and very little of it will get on your skin, mostly, unless you're using it as body spray, which you can also do. It's exactly the same product really. Okay, so the thing about Pureguard Ultra is it needs a buffer, otherwise it does tend to drift the pH value over time. So if you add a buffer to a system like this, what happens is as the pH starts to drift, the buffer essentially, well, acts like a buffer. So it won't drift. It'll sort of use up the buffer before the pH lowers. We are going to use 1 centimeter. It is in a powder form, which is great for this product because it just dissolves straight in and it doesn't have any scent. We're going to weigh out 1%. To sodium citrate, add 1 times the amount of your preservative. And since we use 1% preservative, 1.5 times that amount is just 1 point. Just make sure to tear your scale. Now we're going to add 1.5%. Preservatives usually lower the overall pH of your product, and a lower pH also contributes to increased solubility. So sometimes you can get away with reducing your amount of solubility because at the end you know you're going to lower the pH further, and this would also help with solubility. So say this solution before I added the preservative was a little bit cloudy, you might find that after adding the preservative system, it actually clears up and the solubility increases because the pH has dropped. So I'm just going to mix this in. As you can see, it's gotten a little bit foamy on top because it's been mixing quite vigorously. Away, so don't worry about it. Okay, pretty much dissolved, and you can see the solution is very clear. So what I'm going to do now is just test the pH. Testing pH is really important, especially when it comes to leave-on products, because you want the pH to be in a compatible range for your skin. which is usually around the 4.0 to 5.5 pH mark. And funnily enough, well, at least the preservative systems that I use are also best at that value. So we're just going to test the pH just to make sure that it is in a compatible range. Dear God, actually pretty robust when it comes to pH. It can, I think, be all the way up to highly basic levels, but I never formulate in the basic range unless, I'm not entirely sure what product you would use to formulate in that range. Okay, the pH is dropping. You might find you need to adjust the pH down further if it isn't within range. And for that, you would use citric acid. I'm finding the pH to be around 6.4. So what I'm going to do is to stir in a little bit of citric acid just to lower it more. Using the other end of this factor, which is why I really like this one because it has like two ends. The citric, you typically need about 0.1, 0.2 to really good at just dropping that pH level, so you don't need too much. Okay, around 0.2. Stir it in. Okay, we're gonna test again. Okay, that pH is dropping. Still around 5.8, so I'm actually gonna add in a tiny bit more. Added 0.2 already, maybe needed about 0. Obviously, we have our buffered preservative system in here already, so dropping the pH is also more difficult because that's exactly what it's designed to do. So this is 5, which is perfect. Okay, so we have our beautiful solubilizer. We have our beautiful soluble bathroom spray. So I'm going to put it in this little spray bottle. Okay, as you can see, it comes out perfectly and it smells great.